going to record. And we are good to go.
All right. So that being said, I will call the meeting to order. Zachary Karen here for the Dighton Zoning Board of Appeals regular meeting held remotely. Time is 7:02 on Wednesday, March 24th, 2021. I will first read the memo that's posted on the top of this week's agenda. Due to the increasing concerns surrounding the COVID-19 pandemic, this meeting public hearing will be held remotely with no physical meeting location. Those seeking to provide public input should do so using the methods listed below. Video and audio of the meeting will be aired on Comcast Local TV 9 at a later date. A live recording of the meeting will be available on the Town of Dighton YouTube channel, which can be accessed using this link below, and that's www.youtube.com/Town of Dighton Planning and Land Use. Public input may be provided using the following methods. Contact our office at keasterday@dighton-ma.gov. Please use the subject line ZBA Public Meeting, March 24th, 2021 Public Input, and include your name and address for the record. Or you may call 508-669-6431, extension 114 during the meeting, and you may leave a voicemail if necessary. So as always, guys, in lieu of a pledge of allegiance, we'll just take a brief moment of silence to take some thoughts for those who are suffering through the COVID pandemic. All right, thanks, guys. All right, so the first thing that we have to do is to confirm the next meeting date being April 28th, 2021. Is there anybody that are going to have any conflicts with that date that they know about this time? And Carrie, I assume it will work.
I'm good with it.
All right. And Carrie, I assume it's going to work good for you for planning too?
Yes, it works well with me. Greg, I think you were talking, but you're muted.
Sorry about that. Yeah, Greg Logan, I'm good with that date.
All righty. All right, sounds good. So the next thing we have to do is, yep. Next step will be to review, discuss, and act the fiscal year 2022 budget. And Carrie, I assume this is just because we have to make the adjustments regarding your pay, correct?
Yes, there's actually a couple issues. If you'd like, I'm going to put up on the screen if you're okay with that.
Yep, that's fine.
Let's see.
I have a copy in front of me too, so okay. Whatever.
Just bear with me while I go through all the thousands of windows. Okay, so as you can see, last night, the Board of Selectmen, they had a meeting last night to vote on some of the budget requests and whatnot. And it's been determined the Board of Selectmen have already approved the joining of the ZBA and the Planning Board positions together and to make it into a full-time position. And then tonight is the night that they are awarding the appointment of that position to make it official on the individual who gets that. So in doing that, they determined, and I had kind of assisted them along in trying to figure out the payroll budget lines for the two departments. And they determined that they were going to do it, if you recall, way back when they had the Board of Selectmen / Board of Health together. It was a 60-40 split. So they determined that was the easiest way to do it. So Planning Board will be the 60%, ZBA will be the 40%. So that's how they determined to do the payroll budget lines. So that's what you see there in the recommendations for the town administrator recommendations here and the Board of Selectmen recommendation here. That is the 40% split of the payroll for the office manager for the joining of the two positions. And in doing so, they're also going to do under the clerical contract for the clothing benefits allowance, which is the 80 here. That's $200 overall, and that's going to be the 60-40 split as well. And then the last part for the sick leave bonus, that is no longer in effect under the current clerical union contract. So that's been eliminated. So that's why that's been wiped out on that line. So that's really the only adjustments that were made. Everything else was level funded. Yeah, and that's about it. So pretty easy.
And, yeah. I think I was part of the board, but I was definitely not chairman. I think my dad was when it was part of the Board of Health. So if you're there, does this make sense to you? Like, does this seem like in line with what we did before?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and Carrie, I assume you're satisfied with that as well.
Yeah, I think that it was the easiest way to do it. There was some discussion about breaking out the actual position just for payroll purposes and call it like land use. But then that talked about all sorts of other, for lack of a better term, other requirements. And it seemed to make it much more difficult. This was the easiest transition to do it. Okay.
I know. So now, because this is an adjustment to the budget, I assume we have to put this through a vote.
Yes, and actually, because the board has not officially voted on your current budget that the request was made, because I believe it was Selectman Zagrafis submitted it on your behalf.
Yeah.
They are requesting that the board as a whole do make an official vote.
So Zach, this is Jonathan, and I'm going to interrupt for a second because only because I was waiting to come in for the last 5 or 6 minutes, so I don't know what anything that was discussed.
Okay.
So if somebody could just give me a 30-second synopsis to bring me up to date.
Sure. So just under the FY22 budget request for the ZBA, everything was level funded with the exception of the payroll for the clerk or the office manager. And what happened was because we're joining the two positions with the planning board and the zoning board, what they determined was the easiest way to do it is to do a 60-40 split. So what they'll do is planning board will pay 60% of the salary, and then the zoning board will pay 40% of the salary. And then in doing that, under the clothing allowance, it'll be the same split. There's a $200 clothing allowance under the clerical contract. So that will be a 60-40 split. So ZBA split will be $80 and then $120 for the planning board.
So let me just ask for argumentative.
Sure.
The total amount of hours is what, 30?
35.
35.
Yeah.
But if I'm right before, wasn't the ZBA office manager budgeted for 20 hours?
It was 20 hours, yes.
So
yeah.
If the ZBA office is being level funded, that in effect, but this is a 60-40 split on the hours.
Not really in the hours. It's what they did was they joined the two positions to make it a whole 35-hour position.
Right.
They can't go beyond 35 hours because full time is recognized as 35 hours in town hall. So there's that extra 6 hours that is pretty much compensated just by bringing the two offices together. So, and then of course, you know, we're not open on Fridays, and you can't give a clerical union contract member more hours than another member. So it was just determined that they were going to bring it together and kind of like wash the 6 hours, whether it's from the planning board or the ZBA. It pretty much evens out, quite frankly. And then what happens is that in order to do the payroll, they had to determine who gets what. And so what they did was they mirrored what the selectman's office used to do when it was the Board of Selectmen / Board of Health. They had the two positions, and it used to be the Board of Selectmen paid the 60%, The Board of Health paid the 40%. So they kind of mirrored that, and that was the easiest way to do the payroll, to recognize it. Does that make sense? So it's
Okay, no, I just wanted
yeah.
to understand where it was coming from. That's all. I'm not
Yeah.
opposed to it or anything.
No, that's just the easiest way to do it, and really to track hours, because they danced around that a little bit, but that was just kind of
Okay.
going a little I don't want to say overboard, but it was very difficult to do that.
Okay.
So it was just easier. And then I think the thought process too was planning board was 29 hours, which is an odd number. And then ZBA was 20 hours. So it just seemed to fit into like the 60-40 split.
Okay.
So that's how they came up with that. And I assisted them with that, and it just seemed to be the most comparable way to come up with that number.
All right. Thank you for explaining. I appreciate it.
Sure. So just to finish that up, the Board of Selectmen and the Town Administrator did request that an official vote be submitted by the ZBA to approve the revised budget, I guess, with the 60-40 split for the payroll and as a whole. That makes sense.
Okay. So, and now, do we have to have Michelle, set three members, or do we just? I just call for a vote? Like, is the procedure different than if it was a regular case?
No, you just call
can
for
do
a
it as
vote.
a whole vote.
Okay. So, do I hear a motion on the floor to accept the fiscal year 2022 budget with the amendments that were made?
This is Jonathan. I will make a motion that we accept the fiscal 22 budget with the changes that were made.
Is there a second?
Michelle Lima, second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, Greg Logan.
Aye, Jonathan Gale.
Aye, Ryan Eckerson.
Aye, Dr.
Peter
Karen.
Saren. I'm in there too, Zach. Peter.
Okay. All right, perfect. So that's all set. Next thing going right along is the review, discuss, and act planning board and zoning board appeals office manager. So it was kind of clue. We just kind of just touched upon that. Now, Carrie, did the selectmen want a vote for this as well?
No, this was just to bring you up to date.
Okay.
Just as you know, the position, I provided a job description that they put together. I prepared it, let everyone review it. Some people, Nancy, they had a couple administrative edits. And I did take some examples. There was another town, and forgive me, I can't remember the town it came from, but it was way out west. It was the only town that really had a job description online that had the two positions together.
It's kind of funny. There aren't more smaller towns that do the same thing.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So, and then in doing so, the clerical union agreed. And then in doing that, the Board of Selectmen voted and agreed to it. And then they posted it in-house, which was only required under clerical union was to post in-house for 5 business days. That was posted on March 4th. So then I submitted, as you can see, I submitted my letter of consideration of my resume. And then I believe tonight is the night that, and to my knowledge, no one else from union was interested, at least from what I was informed or advised.
Okay.
And it's my understanding that the selectmen are awarding the position tonight, so we should know by tomorrow morning. And then it's my understanding that they would like to have this go effective immediately. So it's my understanding it would take effect Monday. We would just go forward full time, start Monday, and then here we go.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, Carrie, when you and I first talked about this a few weeks ago, I was like, this is, I think, what my dad wanted to do back when he was chair all along. But I'm not sure, I wasn't obviously chair, so I'm not exactly sure why it was decided to not happen. But it seems like the most logical solution, and I think the best solution. Is there anybody on the board that feels differently, or feels as though they think that it should have been gone about a different way?
I agree.
It's one of those things too, is that, not only are we getting somebody, who's already there, but we're getting somebody who's done the job before. So, and somebody who did it well. So we don't have to deal with the hiring and the learning curve and all that, especially when Greg, myself as chair and you as vice chair, work takes us, out of town too often that we wouldn't necessarily be able to go down there and, help them out with anything at a moment's notice. So it's good to not have to worry about that aspect. You know what I mean?
No, when I came on originally, I believe Kerry was just leaving. The board
Oh,
back
really?
then.
I
Yes.
think so.
I don't think personally we could probably get anyone else who knows as much about everything that we do, how to do it, and the history of a lot of what we do. You're not going to find anybody who knows that better than Carrie. So
that's something that Karen and I talked about too when we posted
Yeah.
for it. She's like, obviously we have to post it and someone else applies. And I was like, who's going to apply that knows the job better than the person that did it before? So.
no, I think absolutely it speaks for itself.
Oh, well, I thank you for your confidence. Thank you.
So, Dad, as her former boss, how do you feel?
Oh, I think it's great.
Thank you.
Kerry was awesome.
Awesome. All right. So then we will just there's no vote that's needed, but so then I guess Carrie, you have our go ahead to let the selectmen know. I'm not sure if you guys let the selectmen know or if they need something from me saying that we approve it. Do you know what they preferred?
They didn't really say anything. It was just more of a formality with the clerical union, really. It was just making sure we follow the protocols so we don't have any grievances and just coincide with the union contract.
Perfect. All righty. So the next thing we have is to discuss Dighton residential kennel special permit process.
So I don't know how, I don't even know if you guys are familiar with the recent update of the kennel bylaw that we had that was done on June 15th at the annual town meeting in 2020. But there was a zoning bylaw amendment that for the all kennel licenses, and it included the residential kennel licenses. And it was in our zoning bylaws. And what happened is under that bylaw, it requires that anyone who, and I'm talking residential kennels for individuals who just a home that wants 4 dogs, 4 or more dogs, not someone who's running a business, a kennel to, breed dogs to do it as a business. Just an individual who wants to have 4 Chihuahuas, 4 Great Danes, or 5 Great Danes. God bless them.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I had an individual call me. I want to say about a week ago, because now's the time where someone is coming up and it's time for kennel inspections. And because of this new bylaw that's in effect, it now requires individuals such as this to apply to the ZBA for a special permit. In doing so, it's realized that now, in order to do that, they have to go through a normal public hearing process, which, this individual who called me, she had no problem doing that. It was something like, the abutter notification, the legal notification,
Right,
and the public hearing. But then, of course, then you get into the fees, and it's pretty steep. So, she nearly, fainted.
I don't blame her.
Yeah, it was, so there is I have been in touch with the animal control officer, Stacy Ferry, and she said, this is the wall I'm kind of running into, because now I'm running into these individuals who just want to have 4 Chihuahuas, and it's just not a realistic process to say. So I requested that Stacy Ferry start doing some digging in surrounding towns to see how surrounding towns do it just for the residential, because she was in agreement that individuals who want to do a business or whatnot should go through the normal procedure, a special permits procedure, because that's a business,
Right.
It's a different type of special permit. But for individuals who want just to have as pets, this is extenuating circumstances, I guess, is a better way to state that. So I have asked Stacy to do some research for surrounding towns and communities to see how they handle it. I did speak to Berkeley's animal control officer, and she said that they do it under the general bylaw, where they go out and they do inspections every year and they make sure everything is okay, and then they can issue it. But I just don't know how it's written or how it's done. So I did advise Stacy on that, and to see if maybe there's a way we could, do an amendment or whatnot. Just I wanted to bring you guys up to date to see what's going on. But the other part of it is, this is what's in effect right now. And
Right.
we're running into these poor people, or at least this one individual. And of course, then you have the other side of the coin, where it could be a deterrent, and we don't want that either. So,
right.
so I just wanted to bring you guys up to date on this and where the thoughts is. And of course, if you guys have any thoughts or advice.
Yeah, sure.
Well,
forward.
Obviously one of those things is that we're here for the town, and we're here to help the people first. This is one of those things that, to me, it's a weird technicality and loophole that makes it not that way. So we're not going to be able to do what we can for them. So I know in the past, when we have a case before us, whether an applicant makes an error and they have to refile for something silly, or we make an error and we can waive the fee by board approval because of something that we feel like would be best for the situation. Is this the kind of thing where, with this one, do you think we would be, if it's applied the same way a regular permit would be for the ZBA, is it something that we could just waive the fee for them?
I don't know if I would waive the fee entirely. I would say a reduced rate, because there is an expense of having Marguerite write the decision for us, which would have to be done. So I can't see giving away town services, but I also can't see that they should be paying the fee that a business would be paying to accomplish something similar. But
so now,
I would say a reduced rate would be better than the no rate at all.
Is the actual bylaw itself on what's considered this type of kennel already there on the books specifically, or is this resident asking for some sort of a waiver of the bylaw? Because I think there's two different things going here. It sounds like one is the fee structure, which I also agree is significantly too high for this kind of request. But the other part of it is what they're actually requesting. And if what they're requesting potentially is going to open up another can of worms, and I'm in favor of people having dogs for sure, but I'm also concerned about the implication of people having this kind of kennel in their yard and what that means for people who live in closer, tighter neighborhoods and so forth. So, and I say that because it sounds to me like those are two different things we have to consider. One is the fee, and the other one is to what extent who do we want to hear from once this document is filed and brought before us. Unless I'm missing something.
Well, you're not talking about rewriting the planning board's the decision on this, so it has nothing to do with what the town says requires a license. It's just a question. So we're not here to discuss that as much as we're here to discuss, is the fee too high for what we're asking? But Jonathan, correct me if I'm wrong. Are you thinking that it should be open for discussion for whether the town bylaw is correct?
I think so as far as the fee, I think we all, at least it sounds like we're all in somewhat of agreement that the fee needs to be reduced and changed to accommodate a request similar to this. But as you already noted, there's the cost of the legal fee involved for decisions. So that part of it, I'm not questioning, and I think we could discuss that and come to some agreement on that. The only part that I'm questioning is by the resident filing this with us, and we have to look at the town bylaw. Is the resident asking for any kind of a waiver of the town bylaw, or coming simply before us for an approval based on the law that's there?
Well, I don't think the resident has asked for anything other than
Well-
just inquired about a phone call, right?
So
Correct.
far. Carrie?
Yes. Correct. Yeah, she just called to find out the procedure and how to go about it, and what the fees are involved.
So we adopted this law last year.
It was at the June 15th, 2020 annual town meeting.
All right, and that particular is strictly on dog kennels, and it doesn't strictly rule out residentials. Is that what we're here? So now the kennel license is going to cost that person the filing fee of $750. But if a resident were to come in and wanted the 4 dogs, how do we police it that they're not going to? So we issue them that permit and police it that they're not going to start selling animals and just going for the lower fee. If there's a loophole, we have to be careful what we do there. I feel I'm all for lowering the fee, but I don't know how we can police that.
Well, it's not our
So
job to police.
the policing would be under the ACO, the animal control officer. She's really
And
the
she
one.
goes out annually to the kennels now.
Yes.
Okay, so she would do it annually anyways.
Yes, she does
I
annual.
just don't want to give a breeder, find a
Right.
loophole to come into town and start breeding dogs and saying, I only got 4 residential dogs, and she's only had to pay whatever fee that we agreed to versus
Correct.
a kennel license. That's all I'm saying. I'm not opposed to it, but I don't
Nope.
know how we. So you're saying that Stacy goes out and she takes a look at these places, whether it's a residential for up to 4 animals.
Yep.
As well as the commercial for the kennel license.
Yeah, so it's my understanding there's 2 different kennel licenses that are issued. There's
Okay, there is a
commercial
written,
ones,
there is 2.
and then
Okay,
there's the residential ones.
residential, we'll call it,
Yeah.
correct.
Carrie, do you know if the residential license currently limits how many dogs can be in a residential kennel?
It limits the collection of 4 or more. So if you have 3 or less, you don't need a residential kennel license. But if you have 4 or more, you need the kennel license.
Is this by household or does it go by property address?
It goes by a pack of kept under single ownership for personal, excuse me, kept under single ownership for personal use and enjoyment may be allowed in the residential or business district by a special permit. So it would be by per household.
So
I
if
would
there was,
think.
I would hope, yeah, because if you have a 2 or 3 tenement and somebody has 2 animals, 1, I didn't know how that fell into that, that's all.
Or a duplex, you could have 2 residential kennels.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to the fee reduction, and I think Peter made a great point that we can't just give the license away because there is administration fees that need to be taken care of. So if that's what we're requesting, I'm okay with reducing it. That's up to the board to come up with the decision.
Yeah, I'm definitely okay with reducing that. I didn't consider the fact that it would all the legal proceeding. I didn't factor that it would still have to be treated the way as if it was a regular permit. So obviously, yeah, that's at that point we can't spare no expense. We can. I'm definitely more in agreement to talk to when and if the time comes to discussing a potential reduction of it. But so Carrie, what was this resident to do in the meantime?
So right now she's been in discussion with Stacy Ferry. So Stacy Ferry is aware that we're in discussion and just trying to, she's trying to keep the resident calm.
So she's not in
Right.
And
violation.
this resident, she's like, I just want to do the right thing. I just, and I
Right.
said, okay, just, it's okay. Be calm, cool, collected, and, I'll talk to the board and, and advise you of what's to come. So.
So do you think that we should take a motion on this tonight? Do you want to wait and hear from other towns?
I don't think so. I think what we would do is when she submits her application, she would respectfully request at that time the reduced rate or, the waiver of, and then at that time, we would have our ducks in a row of, a minimum amount. I can do some research on that. And then from that, you can say, okay, we will make a motion too, and then you guys can determine what that fee would be at that time.
Okay.
I think,
All right, yeah.
then it would make sense, Carrie, like you said, for to determine, you know, what's, if Marguerite were to write a decision like this overall, you know, I mean, the hourly rate is, you know, I'm sure a couple of $100. And then, you know, but it's not a long decision necessarily, but it could be depending upon the ask. But I could see, you know, at least an hour charge in there potentially. And then plus the cost of, separately from that, the cost of, you know, sending the mailers out to the abutters.
Right.
And putting those two figures together and coming up with a figure, which may make it slightly different for each applicant we got for something like this. But the flat one would be the hourly component, and then the other components, again, which would not be the flat, depending upon the numbers, might be the abutters, the cost of mailing to the abutters.
Well, they still pay the postage fee, right, Carrie?
Yes, they still would be required for the fee for the legal ad and the mailing.
Right. So the only cost that's going to be incurred is is Marguerite to write the decision, which is pretty much a boilerplate, unless somebody is opposed to it, a butter is opposed to it. There's not a lot involved.
Right.
I think you should put it to bed tonight and come up with a figure of what we find acceptable and let it go, so that this person who and anybody else being springtime, puppies are being born at this time of year, knows where the zoning board stands on it.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I think, I don't know if she's here yet, but Marguerite will be joining the call. Should we not ask what she thinks we should charge her, but you know what I mean? Like, is it something that we should, like, is there any kind of experience that we have as to like roughly how much it will cost for something like this?
Well, Carrie, you see the bills. What's an average decision cost us now?
You know what? I haven't seen your decision bills in a while, so I really don't have that off the top of my head.
Sure.
So I would hold off. Let me gather that information, and then we can make that determination.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess if you know, to appease the customer, if you feel like that's necessary, if you want to let her know that I don't, you know, we're strongly considering, definitely considering, doing something regarding the price. You know, we can't obviously promise or guarantee it's going to be one, a set number, but if you want to let her know that we're more than willing to work with her, I'm trying to think of the best way to word it, but I want to make sure that she knows that if we can't give her a number tonight or tomorrow, I at least want her to keep her mind at ease, knowing that, okay, well, at least it's going to go down a little bit. You know what I mean? Right.
Yeah. That's, a reason. Yeah. The board is more than willing to be reasonable.
Okay. Yes. And I guess too, if she asked, I would mention that at this point, the board's biggest bill or the board's biggest expense that they're looking to have covered would be the legal fees. Just so I don't want her to think also that we're, going to keep it a few hundred more so that we make some money. I want her to know that at this point, it's just to cover, it's to cover an expense that we would legitimately have to spend.
Correct.
All right. Awesome. Next thing, it's a little bit past 7:30, so we're going to have to head into executive session shortly. But the next thing we have on the agenda in the last regular item is to review, discuss, and act on the accept resignation letter of Michelle Lima, clerk. Michelle, if you want, do you have the letter in front of you and you want to read it, or is there anything you want to state?
I don't have my letter on me, no, but I just wanted to say how much I appreciate all of you so much and how much I've learned. It's actually like I have a lot of things going on in my full-time job, and I experienced a great loss there, and it's just really shaken up that entire company, and I have to put a lot of my time into that. So I wouldn't be able to, do as much of my homework anymore that I used to do. A lot of things are still up in the air with my business. So I just, right now, this is what I have to do, is I just have to step away,
Absolutely. I mean, like I said a few weeks ago when we reorganized the board, I gave that disclaimer saying, just to keep you guys aware, I'm not sure what and where I'll end up in the future, but so I know what you're going. I know what you mean. Where the full-time job does have to come first. That means taking you, away from this. Obviously, that especially in today's time, the finances that we've all lost from the pandemic. We can't afford to take any more hits there. So.
The loss hit us all really hard. It was incredibly sudden. It was less like it's someone that I've been a manager with for the last 22 years, and he was out for like 2 weeks, and then it was just it's too much, honestly.
No, absolutely. I mean, obviously, it's under the review, discuss, and act portion, but there's nothing we have to vote on for this, obviously. So this would then be your last meeting with us, correct?
Yes.
Michelle, this is Jonathan. I just have to let you know that I've appreciated your input to the board in the amount of time that you've been on so far, and the questions you've asked and the thought that you've put behind some of the things that have come forward and so forth. So I know you and I are both relatively young to the board, and you will, from my perspective, absolutely be missed. So thank you for being a part of us.
Thank you.
Michelle,
Thank you, Michelle.
Same thing here, Greg. I know you're new to the board, but you came in with some great ideas. You listened. You had a lot of good input, and the board's going to be missing you sincerely.
Thank you. I mean, I'm hoping that maybe in the future something changes. It's just right now it's complete chaos. Honestly.
No, of course.
Understand.
It's not one of those. You obviously did it professionally. No bridges were burned. Should anything come, I mean, look at my dad. He left and came back. You know what I mean? So it's not anything that cannot change in the future should the time come. I think for me, the biggest impact you had was seeing through a 40B, which is not fun, or I just say for the most part is not fun. So that was obviously, something that I'm very grateful that you. Obviously the way it happened to work out was that. This happened after that, so at least you were able to see that whole thing from start to finish and see what that process is like. So,
yes, thanks.
No, of course.
It's always fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's it.
And Michelle, good luck with all of your stuff with your
your
business and all the coping you have to do. That's a lot of stress in itself. So
yeah,
take care of you too.
Thank you.
So just a point of order for, I guess, Carrie, if you're there now, with her, resigning from the board, if she wants to, is she allowed to be part of the executive session still?
Yes, she is, because her resignation doesn't become effective until April 1st, and then we actually need her to sign some stuff while we're in executive session.
So I think we also need a motion to accept the resignation.
Yes, we do.
So
we do. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
So
I'm just sure if that on the board.
I will make a motion that we accept the resignation very begrudgingly but understandably from Michelle Hema, effective the 31st of March 2021.
I'm sorry, can we correct that to, oh no, I'm sorry, you're right. Because it resigned, so as of April 1st, right?
Correct, yes, so that's why I said effective.
Sorry, thank you.
31st. Yep.
It's Greg Logan, I'll second that.
All right, any discussion? All's in favor?
Jonathan, aye.
Greg Logan, aye.
Ryan Eckerson, aye.
Peter Karen, aye.
And Zachary Karen, aye. All right, all set. Carrie, do we have any additional correspondence for tonight?
We do. Ryan, I'll let you have the floor, please.
Yeah, so I am sorry that it kind of has to have to hit you guys back to back with this, but unfortunately I am going to also have to resign from the board because I recently accepted a job in Western Massachusetts, and me and my family are moving closer to the job, close to the end of April. What's that?
That certainly sounds best. That would be a very tough commute for you.
Yeah. Trust me, I'm already driving out. It's in Springfield once a week, so it's like almost 2 hours one way. So yeah, bit of a long commute. So so we'll be moving towards the end of April, and I guess that'll be that'll be it. I know I've only been on the board for a short time, and I've appreciated my time here. But yeah.
No, that's all right. So because of, I know you don't have an exact date yet, but I'm going to assume you probably won't be around for our April meeting, which is going to be the 28th, right? It doesn't matter. I'm just looking to see, like, when did you want your resignation to be effective? Obviously, even if you're still here, I'm sure you're gonna be busy. So if you don't want to have to, worry about that, if you want to make it on the first, or it's completely up to you. But
yeah, I mean, I wasn't quite sure whether I could officially resign right now, because I didn't know if it had to be officially on the agenda or something. But I might be gone before the next meeting. So if you guys can do it now, then it might be like administratively more easy to do, or cleaner to do it now.
We can. I mean, we'll still need something in writing that you'll have to get to Carrie for us to sign. But if you want to be effective immediately, we can do that. If you want to wait until wait and have it go on the first, it does not matter to me. Whatever's best for you.
Yeah, it can be effective immediately. I don't have a problem with that. And I did email Carrie prior to the meeting.
Yep.
Yeah, we just didn't meet the 48-hour deadline to be able to do the motion on that. So that's why we came in under correspondence. So I'm wondering if we accept it under correspondence and then do the official vote at our next meeting, if that's.
I think that would make
right.
sense.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
We can't formally vote on it with it not being on the agenda. So
we can recognize it, and it can be recognized and read into record, and then just do the official vote at your next meeting. And we'll also let the Board of Selectmen know so that they can get the word out for 2 new members.
You don't want to make it 3?
What? No.
You don't want to make it 3?
Who said that?
Hey, Ryan, on a good note,
that my breath
it was a pleasure working with you, buddy. I'm glad you were on board. I know you were here short term, but it was nice to have you here, and you were here every week. You never missed one. And I know it's very hard sitting to a 40B. Trust me, this is going to be that was my third, I think, or the second at least, or maybe third. And yeah, it was hard for me not to do what you two just did, to be honest. Because I'll tell you, man, those are hard, but that's not always what zoning is about. Zoning is actually a very good learning curve for me, and I've stuck it out for a long time. And I know you'll do well where you're going, Ryan.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
What is the job that you accepted?
So I'm actually going to be working for this company. It's a nonprofit called Wayfinders, and they actually are they develop affordable housing, and they're also a Section 8 administrator. So actually, all the 40B experience is going to be pretty relevant. So
worked out right.
Yeah,
Brian, congratulations, man. Really, I mean, you got to put your family first, and you're going to be in Western Mass. I'm sure you'll get a lot of hiking and fishing in at times and stuff too. So, or whatever. But really, thank you for being a part of the board and everything you brought to it. And as Greg said, all the work that you guys all put in for the 40B project and so forth as well. So, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, thank you, Ryan. So then I guess that's going to be it for any correspondence. So do we have any other public input?
Nope, no further input.
All right, so then we will be, has Mary, has Marguerite signed on yet?
She has. She's in the other Zoom room, waiting.
Right.
Yeah.
So Carrie, we need to adjourn this one and then just open the other room.
Correct.
Okay.
All right.
So this is Jonathan. To move this along, I will make a motion that we adjourn our public meeting for this evening so that we can go into executive session.
Okay.
Well, are we going to return back to open session?
No.
Okay.
This is Greg Logan. I second that motion.
And but before we do that, so Carrie, now is there a new link? All right. Yep, I got it. I want to make sure I have the new link. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, you have to
All
take
right.
a roll call vote on this act.
Yes.
to
roll
go into
call.
executive session.
Okay, so,
You have to
so
poll each
Greg,
member.
so John, you were the one that made the first motion, correct?
Correct.
All right, and was there a second?
Greg Logan, second.
Any discussion?
No.
All right, so all those in favor, make sure you state your name. I, Zachary Karen.
Hi,
Hi,
Jonathan
Greg
Gale.
Logan. Hi, Greg Logan.
Hi,
Ryan
Peter Karen.
Eckerson.
I'm Michelle Lima.
Good. I got
All
you.
right.
See you guys in a little bit.
All right, see you guys in a second. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.